Hey guys, back at it again, and this time we got a review for Sam Raimi's new film, Send Help. Yes guys, so I got to see Send Help, directed by Sam Raimi, starring Rachel McAdams and Dylan O'Brien. This was high on my anticipated list. I like Sam Raimi movies for the most part. I love the Evil Dead trilogy that he did. Also, I love the Spider-Man movies he did. Well, 1 and 2. Well, 1 mostly, I should say. The first Spider-Man is like one of my favorite Marvel films of all time. Childhood movie for me for sure. But yeah, so I was excited for him to get back at it. I like Rachel McAdams a lot. And Dylan O'Brien, I followed his career since Teen Wolf, so I continue to root for him. I predicted he'd be a star out of the gate for Teen Wolf. That didn't exactly happen. I mean, you had, Maze Runner, and then, unfortunately for there, he's been in some smaller things I think he's been good in, but I feel like this movie used him how Dylan O'Brien should be used. So shout out to Sam Raimi, but we'll get to that. So this movie takes place where you have Rachel McAdams' character, Lauren. Lauren works at this company and thinks she is getting a promotion. The father of Bradley's character, who's played by, Bradley is Dylan O'Brien, his father passes away, but he promised that Lauren would get the promotion. That doesn't happen. Dylan O'Brien's character, Bradley, turns out to be kind of not the best boss, and denies her and essentially makes fun of her for the most part, downgrading her. And they end up getting on a plane together to go to a meeting as kind of her last send-off, and the plane crashes, and all that's alive is Rachel McAdams' character and Dylan O'Brien's characters, Lauren and Bradley. And this is a lot of this stuff's in the trailer, so it's not spoiling. Dylan O'Brien's character is hurt, and he kind of needs Lauren to look after him. Obviously, there's a weird dynamic there as he was awful to her, but she is also her character is extremely awkward. Weird's not a fair word, but just like very socially awkward, especially around others. Doesn't have the greatest people skills, but is great at her job. But yeah, so she has to take care of Dylan O'Brien's character, and the power dynamic switches, and crazy stuff starts happening. So as far as this movie goes, Send Help, I thought this movie was excellent. It is going from Mercy to Send Help is like, holy crap. It's like going from incredibly basic to below basic to one of the best movies early on. This movie is fun. It's crazy. It's bloody. It's just batshit crazy. Just to add to the craziness. I think we'll just get into the positives. I think Rachel McAdams is great in this movie. She's great at playing socially awkward and just doesn't engage the best with others, but tremendously great at her job. And once that power dynamic switches to her being on the island, she's much more confident in herself, and she is now kind of the one in charge. So you get a different personality out of her, different choices, more feeling herself, basically. Still awkward and still weird, but and I don't use weird as a negative necessarily, just that's the word that I would use in this case. But then you still have Dylan O'Brien, who's also great in this movie, in my opinion. I think they play off each other so well. as he's kind of this asshole, but over time has to kind of accept the situation. But also really wants to get off the island. Those two are kind of figuring each other out, what is going on here. But their chemistry is fantastic. I think Dylanobrien is great when he's able to do more comedy side of things, because I think he's very funny. I think Rachel McAdams clearly shows her comedic chops. I mean, go back and watch Mean Girls. But also, both of these do great. Both of them do great physical comedy in this movie. Now, is this movie is it laugh out loud? Is it general comedy? No. But there's a lot of great comedic moments, a lot of great physical comedy that both of them do throughout the movie that got more than a few chuckles out of me. Or Sam Raimi type of comedy. And it's very much Evil Dead-ish. It's not like Evil Dead, but it has the same, 1 minute you'll be like, holy shit, or maybe even kind of laughing at what's going on, because it's like Evil Dead 2 or Army of Darkness. And then next thing you know, you'll be like, jaws will be dropped because you're like, holy shit, what the hell is going on? There's such a zaniness to it. I love Sam Raimi's style. If you're not into his style, maybe you wouldn't like this movie as much. But this movie is such a blast from start to finish. It really takes you on this ride, not knowing what these characters, how they're gonna gel, how they're going to progress. Like Sam Raimi's so great at shock moments. I mean, you remember Evil Dead 2 when Ash cuts his hand off and then he's fighting his own hand. There's a lot of, maybe not to that extent, weird and oddball stuff, but there is stuff like that you're just like, holy crap, what am I watching right now? But it's done so well. I'm so happy Sam Raimi's back and making movies like this, because he's so excellent. He's so great at what he does. His style is amazing. I suggest if you're a Sam Raimi fan, definitely go out and check this out, because he delivers to me. He delivers on all fronts, from the thriller side of things, from the comedy side of things. He's just excellent at what he does, and this movie does such a great job, and he does such a great job of showing it. Like I mentioned in the beginning, how a character can change depending on their surroundings, how different surroundings aid one character while they could take away from another character, and how one can thrive and one cannot thrive, how one can survive and not survive. It's really well done from that aspect. Negatives wise, I don't really have any. There's some unbelievable moments, but I also feel like that's such a Sam Raimi type thing. But there are some you're like, yeah, okay, I'll kind of ignore that. I don't know if it's necessarily a negative, because that's just the Sam Raimi way. But yeah, there are some moments where you're like, it seems a bit unbelievable, but I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? It feels a bit coincidental, but I'm okay with it. But through, this movie's excellent. Go see this in theaters. To me, this is must see in theaters. I'm gonna be honest. I think this is right up there with Bone Temple in this early in the year. January's been a really good month, honestly. To have the Bone Temple and Sendhelp, both excellent movies by two really good filmmakers, more notably Sam Raimi, but obviously you have Nia DaCosta for the Bone Temple. But yeah, this was so much fun to watch this movie in theaters, and movies like this need to be supported. So if you get a chance, definitely go check it out. If you're a fan of the Evil Dead movies, if you're even a fan of Drag Me to Hell, I'm not the biggest Drag Me to Hell fan, but there's a lot of Sam Raimi stuff in that, obviously, since he directed it, and I think there are some similarities. But yeah, I can't praise this movie enough. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Hopefully we'll continue to see Rachel McAdams kill it as she usually does. I will continue to push for Dylan O'Brien. I think he's a star and just needs to be put with the right movie, the right team. But I think these two are great together, great chemistry. But yeah, guys, we'll see what has to come. I know we're getting closer to Scream 7. There'll be a lot on that. Really getting excited. There's things that I don't love going into that movie, but as a slasher guy, I'm always going to get somewhat excited no matter what the case may be. And let's be honest, the Scream franchise outside of Scream 3 has been pretty good. At least solid to great. Obviously, some will argue Scream 3 is at least decent. I don't think it's a good movie, but it is what it is. It is better than a lot of the other bad slasher films, but what I'm saying is once we get to Scream 7, I do think that's we'll see what happens. A lot of characters, a lot of possibilities. So, yeah, guys, that was our review for Send Help. And make sure you please comment down below and subscribe. If you like what I'm doing, let me know. If you don't, let me know. Trying to build something here, and we'll see what happens down the road. We got some Oscar stuff coming up with me and the Oscar guys, Alex and Trevor. And yeah, as always, guys, I'll see you next time.